Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft. That's right, welcome back. What's X going to say? What's he going to talk about? Oh, I'll tell you what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about me being my usual self, and today I've had one of those days where I wake up and although I want to start recording, I'm not really sure where it is to start recording, and so quite a few hours have gone by with me doing various things and just thinking about how to start this episode, trying to make a plan, and I am terrible. I start writing all sorts of notes about things to say, what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about, and really I should just get on here and start recording. Right, that is not how you make rockets. That is how you make rockets. We need rockets because we're going to go on an adventure, and I am so low on sugarcane. I'm thinking that maybe I should have done this the other way around because I'm not sure that 64 firework rockets is going to be enough to get us to our destination, although we could use the old 40-40 trick to get where we're going. We're going to go on a long flight. So down below we built the cocoa bean farm last time, right? And so maybe what we'll do next is build the sugarcane farm. I'm thinking I should have done that this episode so I'd have plenty of rockets to fly to where we're going. But whatever, I've decided to do it the other way around. In this episode, we're going to be starting work on a whole new biome. And I will go outside and show you that in just a moment. Because we're going to have to go on a journey to gather materials for that biome. And there we go, we're making a shovel. Now I'm going to enchant this thing, and if we get fortune on it, I'm going to be gutted. Let's see. Oh, it would be, wouldn't it? Okay, never mind. So what we do is pick out the books that we want. Well, of course we want Unbreaking on it. We want Silk Touch and... what's the other one? Efficiency, yeah. Efficiency 4 will do. We'll take one that's got another thing on. That shouldn't affect it. And we need this because we're going to go and gather some Podzol. Silk Touch is the other one. I cannot talk and play at the same time. So I've picked out the books and we're just going to chuck these on here. Shouldn't be any problems. Efficiency 4, Breaking 3 and Silk Touch. The reason that we're grabbing another one of these is because... let's type in Asuma there. By the way, if you didn't know, you can select an entire word on your keyboard by holding down Control and Shift and then pressing like left, and it does the whole word, which is pretty cool. And now I've forgotten what I was talking about. I talk about several things all at once. This is why I sit down and write notes and I don't just record, because otherwise my brain gets super disorganized. Okay, so we are making another one of these because we're going on a long journey and we've got a Silk Touch there. That one's got Efficiency 5. Now we've got another one as well. I'm going to put these things in here straight away because I do not want to get all the way to my destination and then realise that I've left these behind, right? That would be absolutely terrible. I've also prepared some food as well. We've got 3 stacks of steak. That should be more than enough, but we could be there for a long time. I want to fill up some shulker boxes. This thing is 12,000 blocks away, and we don't want to go there and find out we've got a full inventory. So we're going to take 3 of those with us. We've got more in here as well. We are well and truly prepared for this adventure. So the coordinates are 150 and then 12,000. So a very long way for us to go. And before we go there, let's talk about this new biome, which we're going to start in this episode. We're going to do resource gathering, then we're going to come back here and work on the biome. It is going to be the next one around. If you don't remember the plan or haven't heard about it before, we are making custom biomes around the outside of this place. And we're basically going around in this direction. So once I've done the one we start today, we'll do the next little bit of land along, leading all the way into this space, and then eventually we'll go back around this side and it'll all be done. That is the plan. It's going to take a very long time, but luckily for us, we're only in the early stages. Well, actually, we're kind of probably closer to the middle of Season 5. I don't know. Still feels kind of early to me, you know. But over here, you can see I've done a little bit of work on this wall, and I've got to say, I do not like this at all. I was staring at this, and I was thinking, why doesn't that look good? Why doesn't that work? And it's because you're used to seeing clay with the layers of sediment, all the layers of different colour. So we're probably going to strip that out. That's actually not really going to match what we're going to do in this biome. And this little transition between the two areas, it needs some work as well. I think it needs some height variation, and we're going to bring some of the colours we use in this biome over into this space. And of course I'm going to walk you through what this is all about, but I do want to show you the sort of border and the rough area. So the biome is going to kind of end somewhere around here where this trench is, okay, going across. But of course, we don't want it to be in a straight line. So it is quite a larger chunk of land than the last thing that we did. And we're also going to put a big old building in this one as well, because we've got the iron farm. And that's going to be a key part of the theme for this. But I don't want to waffle on about it too much, because we got a lot of resource gathering to do. So it's time for me to take to the skies and travel 12,000 blocks to this biome. Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived. And as I arrived, I got an achievement, Adventure Time, discover every biome. So this was the last one that we needed to visit in order to get that. I think that's pretty cool, right? I'll tell you what we need to do right now is set up a bed. Now there could be monsters down there, so this is actually not a bad place at all, right? I've got a bed in this ender chest. So that worked a charm. Let's put that back in there, very convenient. That's why we got a bed inside our shulker box, inside our ender chest. This is Silk Touch, right? Should be Silk Touch. Cool. And there were signs that someone else has been here before. Now, I know Good Times Scar has taken several trips to a Mega Taiga. I don't know if it was this biome or not, but over in that direction, it kind of looked like someone had been ripping out some Podzol, but there is clearly plenty and plenty of this stuff to go around, and mossy cobblestone, which you can actually craft, and I've just been shot. I've just arrived and already a rude introduction. I see you over here. Do you know what? I ain't got my sword on my hotbar, and then my sword disappeared. Inventory desync. There we go. Come back to me. Come back to me. Hi. Oh, goodness me. Jeez, these guys, they move around so quickly. There we go, we've taken care of you. So, as you can see, I didn't use too many rockets at all to get over here. Just a few to boost up high into the sky. And then using the old 40-40 trick, I got over here. No problems at all. Took about 8 minutes in total to go that distance. And it looks like there's a bunch of baddies in the area, which ain't so great. So while I'm here, I'm going to be collecting ferns as well. Going to grab some shears. We're going to be going for the mossy cobble, the podzol. And I'm just wondering, is there anything else that I should consider? Is this coarse dirt? And I never remember how coarse dirt is done. Can we get it with just a regular thing? That is coarse dirt, and we can use a regular thing. Cool. So we will pick up a bunch of that stuff as well while we're here. Yes, I know you can craft it. And here you go. Look, it looks like someone's come through and stripped out a load of podzol, right? There's a few patches like that around here, but I think that's most of the materials we're going to be collecting. I don't think there's anything else here of use. Dead bushes. That's the other one we're going to go for. However, considering that's the only one I've seen or noticed so far, I don't think they're very frequent. So this may not actually be a good source of those. So, job done. Look at all the resources that I've gathered. Quite a lot of stuff, right? Crazy amounts of podzol. Hopefully we won't need to come back here again. I think that'll be more than enough for what we need. And if you look around, it almost looks like, you know, there's been no funny business going on here, but then you look a little closer and you notice some of the trees are floating, and basically the grass spreads onto the dirt that's underneath the coarse dirt and the podzol, so it ends up kind of looking a little bit normal again. And when I was heading out in that direction, I then started to notice some of this, what I've been doing in front of me. So someone's been out here before, probably missed a good times with Scar, and then I noticed a nether portal, and I thought to myself, do you know what, I was thinking about flying over the roof of the nether to get over here. Problem is, it's kind of like a one-way ticket, because then you've got to make a portal on top of the nether, which you can't get back to. But it looks like someone might have actually made a tunnel through this place, so we're going to go check it out and see if that would be a good way to get back. Here's the thing, though. I think walking through the nether is probably going to be slower than flying through the overworld. But then again, you also get to just, you know, hold down the forward key and watch a video or do something like that. You don't need to keep looking at the screen while you're flying. I made that shovel for all of this work we're doing over here, and I haven't even gone through the 2 shovels that I already had, so I guess I kind of overestimated that, right? I also forgot to put mending on it as well. I'm sure many of you have commented about that. And let's have a look. This is not a safe location, is it? I could easily go in the wrong direction. Might be able to fly through here, but I don't have any lava resistance potions on me, so maybe that's not a good idea. There's also loads of quartz here. I think I'm going to fly back home. Finally, we are back home, and today's episode is going to be a 2-dayer for me. Usually I get most of the stuff done in 1 day, right? But that trip, that took a long time. Hi. That's kind of awkward. Let's go over here. Here's why we needed to get all of those cocoa beans sorted out beforehand. Because we're going to be using this block a lot, the brown concrete powder, along with some other brown coloured blocks as well. You can see I've already done my preparations and got some things together. What I want to do though is do a harvest together. let's just press that and get all the cocoa beans on the ground and then flush them into the hoppers. I'm just kind of curious how much a full harvest is going to yield. Now, of course, if we open the chest at this point, we're not going to see it all straight away, so we've got to wait for a moment first. And also, let's just stick our heads in here, and you can see nothing gets caught anywhere, which is fantastic. Although, as I say that out loud, apparently there's a problem here. Oh, I already discovered this problem. So underneath that block there is a lever. Yes, I even talked about that in the last episode. Right, and then I must have forgotten to go and fix that. So, not including the 3 stacks already had in my inventory, that is 1,440 exactly. Pretty cool. I like that number. Thing is, now I've got to go around and replant this thing. So finally, we are ready to start work in this area. I've been looking forward to it all episode, and I've been setting up my shulker boxes, getting our build palette in place. We are ready to go here. It's going to be awesome. But let's talk about the build palette first of all. So, we've got quite a few blocks. We got soul sand, we got the brown concrete powder, then we have the brown clay, and before you type an angry comment, okay, they renamed it to terracotta. You know who I'm talking to. I get loads of comments about that. I'm going to call it clay, alright? I'm going to make you all mad and call it clay. Then we've got a couple of blocks that we're going to use sparingly. The jungle wood and the brown. I don't want this to get too noisy, you know. I want it to be quite consistent, and this is going to be the dominant material right here. Then we've got the path block. Next to it, a block that used to be a path block, but I put a slab above it. We've got coarse dirt. We've got our podzol, which you can actually put a slab above. And then we've got spruce slabs, which I was originally going to use to sort of allow you to walk up blocks like this, you know, to create a bit more of a slope, but I think we'll actually just throw them around randomly. Otherwise, you'll always see that spruce texture when you look over to where the slopes are. Now, you may have wondered why the path block is in there, because we're going to have a path going through here. It'll be made out of the path block, but what I want to show you is what happens to this block when you surround it with other blocks. It slowly gets darker, and it can get even darker than that. And it kind of looks brown, right? So it's another texture that we can throw in and amongst those other ones. So from here you can kind of see that the next biome is elevated, and hopefully that will be more obvious as more of it gets built. I really did think that would show a little bit more. Another thing you may have noticed here is that that row of dirt and coarse dirt across the front has been raised slightly, and I realised that the whole thing was flat and that looked kind of odd. It looks so much better now that it bulges a little bit at the top there, which is fantastic. And of course our path using the path block is going to run through this. But it's going to be underground to begin with, and what you're about to see, I don't even know where this is going, okay? We've got a cobblestone ceiling, and this is because underneath every block I've decided to lay down some cobble, mainly because we would have needed to have done that for the brown concrete powder, and then it would be easier if the whole thing was just cobblestone. And perhaps we'll eventually build something underneath here, I'm not sure. Let's jump on top though, and you can see the landscape's looking pretty cool. You'll notice there's a lack of podzol and also a lack of brown terracotta or clay, whatever you want to call it. That's because I'm going to put them in regions, like areas that deserve to have some more gnarly textures. I'm thinking of soul sand when I say that. That's going to be near the blood river. The blood river is going to be contaminating the soil. So around this area, we're going to change it up a little bit. I did throw in like a couple of blocks of podzol here and even some jungle on the ground here, and I think that's a nice touch, but they're the only 2 patches so far, and actually every so often I reckon you should at least see a little bit of that here and there, so more frequency on these ones I reckon. Just put them in groups of 2 or 3 in little locations, and that'll make it nice and varied. So this is as far as I've gotten so far. You can see we're starting to get a little bit tall over here, which is what I want to do. I want to stay above the height of all of this because this is going to be an elevated biome, meaning that when we have a border over here, it's going to drop back down again into the next biome, which I think is going to be interesting. So I'm going around just throwing in a few more bits of these here and there, and you may be thinking the landscape is a little bit featureless at the moment. You'd be absolutely right. There is actually not going to be a lot of features in this biome. It's mainly going to focus around a building that we will build over there above the iron golem area, and there will be a few things like trees and some other stuff that I don't want to reveal just yet. We're mostly going to be focusing on the terrain this episode, and speaking of that, I kind of want to show you the process of how I go about putting this all together. So we start off with placing cobblestone. Lots and lots of cobblestone. As you can see here, this is how I've done the whole thing. Put down the cobble first, start to make the terrain a little bit. You can see it dips down low here. It starts to peak back up, and over here we're starting to get really tall. I want all of this to actually go above that dirt level there. So our building in the middle is actually going to be really elevated, and this is going to be deep underground it. But that's kind of where I want to go with this biome. And when it comes to placing the cobblestone, you want to kind of break away from some habits. Like, it's easy to go around an edge like this, right? And place the blocks like that. But maybe actually you should remove those and make it go even higher here in the corner. Wasn't actually planning on making it peak up so quickly, but let's do that. Just so it kind of brings home the point. And yeah, so I'm going around just making sure I don't do too much of the same thing over and over again. Kind of keep it nice and varied and... it's kind of hard to describe, but you know what I mean. If there is something that I haven't done too much of in this area, or any at all, it is to have some sheer drops where it goes up by 2 blocks instead of 1. That may be something we do real soon, actually. Over in this area, I kind of want all of this clay to somehow cascade down into the water as if it's collapsed, and then that will no longer be a part of what we do over on that side. I'm actually really not sure what we're going to do for like a cliff face over there, but we'll probably figure that out when we come to it, and maybe that'll be our opportunity to use such thing. But now generally what I do is I focus on 3 materials: our brown concrete powder, our dirt, and our coarse dirt, and I also sprinkle in some spruce with those. So I run around just putting them like this to begin with, right? And then you start to fill in the gaps with the other materials. So now we'll do a little bit of dirt, throw these down kind of randomly to begin with, put them next to the other ones as well, and just focus on a little space like this, and then it starts to come together a little bit. So there we go. Now we'll put in some wood. What I don't like to do, as I said before, is use them like this too often. So let's look for some spaces where that wouldn't happen. There really isn't much of that at all apart from up the top here. So maybe we won't use too much wood in this area for now. Let's put you over here. And then you start to fill in the gaps and just try and keep it nice and varied. Now we're also going to chuck in the occasional bit of jungle and podzol as well. So I'll make sure to have a couple of those patches in this area. There we go. Got some podzol sorted out. And over here... I don't want to show that side of the texture, so got to be careful how we place this and make sure that there's a little bit of spruce next to it as well. Another way I can use this spruce actually is like that, which I have been doing, and actually that's pretty cool. Although couldn't use it here because then you'd have a gap, although I could do that, which I don't like. And that, my friends, is pretty much the process for doing all of this. Let's have another little podzol patch over here. Pretty much done with this corner. When we take a step back, it should look pretty decent, right? I'm liking that. These are a great group of blocks that go together really well. Sometimes when you spread out, you know, random blocks like this over a large area, like we've done at the moment, it tends to just look a little bit dull and obvious, but this actually, I don't know, it's got some character about it. We do need to add features into this area, small little details, nothing big, maybe some dead trees, things like that. Oh, and I could throw down some dead bushes as well, couldn't I? Yeah, there's definitely work to be done here. Another thing that I forgot about is the old path block, and you've got to put those in certain places. So this block right here would be a good spot. Just want to make sure we keep throwing down a couple of those every now and then. So I've done some more block placing. You can see the land gets higher and higher over there, which is cool. And also a little bit of cobblestone poking out over here. Missed a block. There's a chance that I've missed a few more around here as well, as the building of this bit's being kind of erratic, as over on the other side I've been experimenting with something a little bit different here. So you can see that it drops down, and we've got this pit where we've thrown in soul sand and podzol and some of this brown clay as well. I think that looks really good, and that's what we're going to do around the river over there, which we can't quite see. But anyway, on this side then there is like a cliff drop. And the shape of it I think is alright, but you can see the mistake here is that I've done it all with the brown concrete powder, and that's just because I was thinking it's a gravity block, it's going to be easy to drop it down, but I don't think that's the way to go actually. I think we need to mix some of the textures together again, but we should be thoughtful as to which ones. If it becomes all random like this, then the cliff will just kind of dilute into the same sort of landscape, right? I've used mainly coarse dirt. Over on this side we've got like cracks that sort of go through diagonally, and over here we've just got it underneath some of the different piles of it, which I actually think it probably looks best doing it like that, but still not 100% convinced. And anyway, we're kind of done with this now. You may have noticed that I've missed one there, so I'm going to go up and put a block in that space. So our blood river has been kind of uglied up around the edges here. And the source of that river is actually going to be right over there, but it's going to involve some building, and I kind of want to save the building for another episode when we start to do lots more of it than just one thing. I also feel kind of bad because I forgot to mention it earlier. This plot heavily inspired by Evil Dylan. Well, I say heavily, it's pretty much the same block palette that we've got going on over here, but overall we're going to take inspiration from a few other plots as well. And they're going to tie together to create a really cool theme on this plot here. Is there's going to be several buildings. But Evil Dylan, if you're watching, thank you so much for contributing to the plot world. In fact, to anyone who went on there and contributed, I really do appreciate it. It's so nice to fly around that world and just check out all the things that are going on. So I kind of removed that grass patch there. This is something Evil Dylan put on his plot. Little things like this. It did have what looked like seats around it as well. And I was wondering if I wanted to put this in this area or not, but I don't think I do. We could also do this with iron trapdoors as well, but the awkward thing with that is I've got to place the lever on the underside of this block. The iron here pops way too much for my liking, but that might be a good thing, because when we start to put structures in this area, this is going to get a little bit more interesting. I like the wooden one more, but it kind of really does look like a fire, doesn't it? Like you'd see people standing around it warming their hands, and I feel like that means they need to be a bit more locational, like outside a building. When they're scattered around like this, I don't know, it just looks kind of a bit odd because this is very barren and there's not a lot going on here. So when we start to work on the structures and stuff, which we'll do in the future, that's when we'll be able to put down the details, I think. I was planning on doing a little bit more today, but time has kind of gotten away from me here. I haven't had like a very good flow. I've been interrupted a lot where I've been recording this episode, which happens every now and then. You don't always get to make them exactly how you like, but what we've got here is a really good start. There's going to be a lot more of it to do. There's going to be structures and building, and as you might have guessed, that's going to be the end of this episode, but we've got one more thing to do first of all. So we're going to be updating the map. In fact, if you look at the blood river, it's going to sort of extend as we go out like this. I'll tell you what, that's terrible because it's bobbing up and down. And you can see it changing though. It's all getting sort of rough, isn't it? And it goes all the way over there. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I like it. And that's probably most of it loaded now, I'm guessing. So that's what we've done today. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like on the video. As always, thank you for the support. And I'll see you in the next episode of Hermitcraft. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.